Hey everybody, it's Jason, Zombie Collector, and I have another four movie introduction to you all that I would like for you all to correspond with me. Let me know if you've seen these movies, if you know anything about them, what's your thoughts about them. Maybe you'll go out and check them out yourself. If you had never heard of them, my first one I actually did had a great response. So I'm happy to have that I'm happy to have it. I'm happy that it happened. So this is another John Carpenter classic based off of a Stephen King book, and that is Christine, the Killer Car. So uh, she was born in Detroit, everybody, on an automobile assembly line, but she is no ordinary automobile. Deep within her chassis lives an unholy presence. She is Christine, a red and white 1958 Plymouth Fury, whose unique standard equipment includes an evil, indestructible vengeance that will destroy anyone in her way. There you go. If that doesn't get your horsepower pumping, I don't know what will. The cast is not anybody really super noticeable. I'm looking at Harry Dean Stanton. I forgot he's in it. Everybody else, I mean, there are people you would notice, but Harry Dean Stanton is in this. This is the special edition. Comes with a commentary by John Carpenter, and then the Keith Gordon, who plays like the main guy in it. 20 deleted scenes and alternate endings. So this is one of those ones where it is based off the source material of Stephen King. So, I like it. It's one of those movies where, for me, it's a one view every couple years, maybe. Again, the music's fantastic in this. I love the music. I'm assuming Carpenter did the music on this. I could be wrong. Let me take a look and see if it says if he did the music. I want to say he did, but it doesn't say specifically it was his music, his score. I'm pretty sure he did the music on that as well. But anyways, Christine, I feel like that one is more on out of everything I'm going to show today. Well, maybe aside from one other, that is a pretty known film. The next one up is a 20 film double disc feature. It kind of harkens back to my original video I did when I started doing these, and this is a Grindhouse Experience Volume 2 with all kinds of Grindhouse films. Now, I think this is a really good entryway because it's really hard and in some cases impossible to find all these films on a single release. So these Grindhouse type, I think they're like Mill Creek type specialties. This one actually is Fortune 5 DVD. They're like super bootleg as far as the source material. I mean, these are legit releases, but it's not high quality. It's usually it can be burned off. It was like probably burned off of a VHS or something along those lines. So sometimes the quality varies from film to film. But it's a good introductory because you can get these whole. I mean, there's 20 movies in here, so I mean that's a lot of movies. So let's get that straight. But you can usually find these from anywhere between $10 and $20 for like a DVD, like off eBay or whatever. Sometimes if it's been used, but you don't mind used, then it might be even cheaper than that. But it's a 2-disc set, front and back. Both these DVDs have films on both front and back, so that's the reason why. There you see the insert there. The Ultimate Bruce Lee book series is coming. But to give you an idea on some of these movies that you could possibly get or watch is Shark Hunter, Deadly Jaws, 007 Mission Bloody Mary, Her Majesty's Top Gun. So you already can get a feel. There's a couple animal attack films. There's a couple films that are more in the 007 type range, back in the 70s. Then we have Phenomenal, 3 Supermen, 3 Avengers, and Master Killers. So that gives you some idea of some of the movies. I'm not going to say go over every one, but you get a good idea. And then you can see some of the titles right there as well. So this is a great introduction. I didn't think about this initially when I did the first one, but that is a good introductory DVD box set, I guess you can kind of say, of films, because that way you're not spending a lot of money. And if you really like the film, if you're ready for that cheesy goodness, then you can track down an original copy on a single disc or whatever special edition they have it of said film. I'm a big Animal Attack film fan. Blaxploitation and Animal Attacks are my two favorite from the genre, from Grindhouse, subversive cinema from the 70s and 80s. So those are two of my favorites. I feel like usually those are the ones done that are, were the people behind them a lot of times are pretty good. All the sexploitation and nunsploitation and some of that other stuff that's just like kind of like the hillbilly redneck stuff could get pretty low quality. And, like I said, sometimes it can be fun, but I enjoy the Animal Attack films most out of that. Next one up is a pretty well-known movie for sure. It's either you really love it or you hate it. I feel like that about most of his movies. And I'm usually a hater. I'll be the first one to admit it is Rob Zombie's House of a Thousand Corpses. This is the kind of like paperback edition or whatever you want to call it. It's not your typical DVD box hard case. So you have Otis here. You got I can't remember his name actually. I forgot, but he was a giant, like literally a giant. I met him a couple times. I think his real name was like Matthew something, but I forgot. Maybe I can't remember. And then you got Baby Firefly there, and then you have Rob Zombie, I think, right there. This insert. So, anyways, you got Captain Spaulding, R.I.P. He just passed away this past year, I believe. And so then you have Dr. Satan. So essentially, guys, I mean, I'm sure most of you all a lot of you all have seen this movie. This is for Rob Zombie, who's famous for White Zombie / Rob Zombie, is directed his first film. This is like Alice in Wonderland on like crack, or because it's a bunch of white trash, maybe more like meth. But it is it's a feature vehicle for Sherry Moon Zombie, which is Rob Zombie's wife. In all his films, she's always the star of it. But you have Captain Spaulding, who is Sid Haig. He steals a show. He's fantastic in it, as well as all of a sudden, I forgot the guy who plays Otis. Oh my gosh, what is his real name? Let me look. Bill Moseley. Sorry, I can't believe I forgot, but for a second. But Bill Moseley's in this, and he plays Otis in there. But it's like a hillbilly hit redneck splatterhouse film, and it's messed up. I mean, it really is messed up. Rainn Wilson, like he's in here. He plays one of the unfortunate like college age young adult guys who get they go off the beaten path, and then the path beats them. And there's a few other people in here that you would recognize. Karen Black's in it. That's another one you would recognize. Karen Black, she's in here. She plays the mother, I believe, in here of the Firefly Clan. But essentially, it's a roadside attraction that Sid Haig has, but really it's just a death house. Sid Haig is dressed like a clown. Was it Captain Spaulding? And he ran this gimmick from this point until the end of his days. I mean, that was like he hit pay dirt with the horror movie crowd. That was like his iconic character. He was in lots of films in the 70s and 80s, and he had some pretty decent sized roles in those films. But I mean, like I said, he hit pay dirt when he hit up the Rob Zombie movie, especially the Captain Spaulding character in particular. He was even on his deathbed, and he did 3 from Hell or whatever, the part 3 in the series, because this, and there was a Devil's Rejects, which I think is by far Rob Zombie's only fantastic film. I liked this one actually. It was pretty good in my opinion. And then 3 from Hell was just, I don't know. It was, at first I just absolutely hated it, but actually the more I think about it, it's like, it's okay. It's fine. But anyway, so you have like 4 teenagers, college age kids, young adults. They go to this like off-site gimmicky type, attraction. It was like the biggest ball of rubber bands ever kind of thing. Come here, like we have the most farm ant tractor pull, salami sandwiches. in the great state of Texas kind of thing. And people go to these roadside attractions. So they show this roadside attraction with Captain Spaulding's fried chicken eating clown. And then they get bamboozled, and it turned into, like I said, it turns into a Alice in Wonderland type story where the further down the rabbit hole you go, literally rabbit hole in some scenarios here, you go into the madness of the film. And it is really gory. It's very horrific. A lot of this, I think, might be all practical effects, so they have that going for it. There's stuff that doesn't make sense in here. But again, it's a very interesting movie, and I highly recommend it if you want to watch this. But this is one of those ones you watch with some friends, gather around the old boob tube, because it's pretty far out. It's pretty far out there, but it's not like something you want to sit down and be like, oh, this is going to be Citizen Kane of horror movies. That is not the case. And then lastly, a very little known film by 4 directors, and it's called 4 Rooms. And two of the rooms are Robert Rodriguez and Quentin Tarantino. This is from the 90s. I want to say like 95 or 6 probably. This movie came out. You got Tim Roth, who was Mr. Orange in Reservoir Dogs. You got Madonna. You have Antonio Banderas. And then I forgot who the girl back here is. Jennifer Bills. She's in it. Marissa Tomei. Tamlin Tomita. So there's a couple other people in here. Those are the main ones. But every room that the Tim Roth, the butler, or the Bellkeep, or what do you want to call it? Bellhop. There we go. Bellkeep. I'm making up stuff as I go, which is typical. But the bellhop, every room he goes to is filmed by a different director from the 90s. Allison Anders, who's actually from Louisville, Kentucky, she has the first room, which is a cauldron of witches. And essentially it's just a reason to get a bunch of hot girls from the 90s, half nude, to dance around a cauldron, because they're witches, and gyrate around it. So if you're in the mood for that, then that's for you. The second room is Alexandra Rockwell, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, that's the room where Jessica Biel's in. It's actually pretty funny. She is handcuffed to her husband, but as the story goes on, you find out, and each room it has nothing to do with the next room. So every room is its own separate. It's kind of like a what do you want to call it? It's kind of like Creep Show. All of a sudden, it's kind of like every story is not really connected. It does its own thing. I can't remember what the word I'm looking for here, but it's like its own separate story into the overall movie. The only thread that goes throughout is the Tim Roth one. I can't believe I can't remember that word. But anyways, you'll know what I'm talking about. So anyways, you have next one, they're tied together in a chair, and the Tim Roth character is now into their like weird sicko perverted thing they're into, and it's pretty funny. The next room is Robert Rodriguez's room, and Antonio Banderas, and then Tamlin Tomita, who was in Karate Kid Part 2, the female character. They play mom and dad in this, and the kids end up finding all kinds of wild. They tell the bellhop, the Tim Roth character, that he's responsible for keeping their kids safe while they're on a night out in the town, and the kids are the misbehaviors. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I'm drooled all over myself. And then lastly, the last room is Quentin Tarantino's room, and that has, I believe, actually Bruce Willis is in this. No one, I think it's Bruce Willis in this, and they don't have it on here, but he shows up in this. So Bruce Willis is in that room, I think, and there might be one other person that's pretty noticeable, but it's typical Quentin Tarantino dialogue, a lot of references of films, and Tim Roth gets brought into this, and there's a wager that if he's willing to do something, they'll give him like $1,000 or whatever it is, but he has to do what they ask him to do, and if he does it, he can take the money and leave, regardless of the outcome or whatever, and he has to agree to it, and then if he does, they will give him the money. So I'm kind of keeping it a little bit vague because there are quite a few payoffs in it. I don't want to say this is a great film, but it is a very interesting film. And if you want to see Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez's early work, it's kind of cool to see them when they're kind of starting out because they had just, I think there was just Reservoir Dogs and just El Mariachi under their belts, and they did this together. If I'm not mistaken, it was like right around that time. The other two directors, to my knowledge, never really went on to do too much. I mean, they had their indie scene stuff, but it wasn't anything huge. So, anyways, guys, that's my 4 movies. Let me know what you think. A little bit of variety, a little horror, a little grindhouse, a little comedy. And this is a comedy, by the way. There's no, I mean, again, none of these movies are for kids, but there's some, this is mostly all comedic elements. There's no horror in here, anything like that. Anyway, hope you all enjoyed, and let me know what you think. Again, it's all about the comments. That's what I want to hear. Let me know what y'all think, and then we can go from there and build off of that. So hopefully y'all enjoyed. Take care. Peace.